I
There
am.
you are.
All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome to our CET Experience breakout session. This is after the install with Kaylie Tucker, the owner of Convergent Solutions. Um, my name is Rachel Gill. I am the room buddy for this session. We do have a couple of housekeeping things before we get started. You have likely heard this several times by now, but just in case it is someone's first time in a session, we are using Zoom webinar. So you are unable to unmute yourself as well as share video. Just to avoid any background noise or echoing, and then to put less strain on your internet connection. But we do encourage you to participate. So there is a Q&A section. Use that to ask any questions to Kaylie. And then there's also a chat function as well. So feel free to make any comments or just say hi in the chat. If you do want to be unmuted to ask a question, we'll hold off until the end and do so if we have time. Please raise your hand, and then if we do have time, I will unmute you. So without further ado, here is Kaylie.
Thanks, Rachel. I feel like we should be at Disneyland. Like you should do that in Spanish next. Siéntese, por favor.
Wish I knew all of it in Spanish.
Right. And I will miss, have hearing all of your bad pity laughs as you, humor my bad sense of humor here. So yes, hi everyone. I am Kaylie Tucker. I see a lot of familiar names in our attendees, but I do see a lot of new names that I don't know. So if you don't know who I am. This is my little roadmap of who I am and where I've been with CET Designer. We've had quite the journey. I started using CET Designer in 2003. It was just Configura at the time. They still have Configura, but it was really cool. I used it for Space Saver filing system, and it was so easy to use. I was able to build a full, really complicated spec in really short time. Um, but I moved, that was a Steelcase dealer when I lived in Reno, Nevada. I moved from there to Seattle, Washington, where I live now. As you can see my background, I'm like in the forest. This is, pretty close to my backyard. Um, but I joined a dealer up in Seattle called Open Square. They were a Steelcase dealer, and I was, it was life-changing for me. I actually got to be part of the Smart Tools beta team, which was about 20 to 25 of us all around the country, and we helped Steelcase to develop their extension. And Steelcase really set the groundwork for a lot of other manufacturers. And, they got to hear us gripe and hear, what we liked and didn't like. But we formed some really good friendships with that group. And a lot of them, I'm sure you all know of the famous Paul Rich's, we have a battle. I will never be able to attend all the conferences because I missed out on a couple. He's got 13, I got 10. We're close, but I've seen my fair share. So the beta group was great. It helped me to learn to use CET Designer. The following year in 2009, I became the lead designer at a small little coffee company called Starbucks. And quick story, while I was at Starbucks, we were able, when we were working on a bid to restack their entire corporate space, which was 6,000 people, we decided to use CET for it. And we were able to get the ear of one of the CEOs at the time of Seattle's Best Coffee. A lot of people say they don't like Starbucks, they like Seattle's Best. Well, I hate to tell you, they're owned by the same company. But she was the CEO of Seattle's Best, and she was the first one to come up with the Frappuccino. So she was kind of like a little superstar. And she was also known for not really attending her meetings and leaving early. And so we were able to get a meeting with her, and I was super nervous because we were using CET Designer and I was doing live design. The extension was super unstable, and I was beside myself. But we sat down with her, and she sat with us for over 2.5 hours. And I think ultimately led us to winning the project. And we went on to do all the regional offices as well as corporate in CET Designer. So it was an amazing start. I was kind of lucky, the CET gods were with me that day. Um, in 2014, I got the opportunity to go work for H&I One and All Steel. I was the design manager for, again, another little tiny garage company called Amazon, and we did millions of square feet of product. However, they did not have a CET extension, so it was really painful. We drew everything in Revit and AutoCAD at both at the same time, so it was quite a bit of work. And then All Steel finally decided that they wanted to get into the CET game, and so I moved teams and I helped All Steel to build the specifications and ultimately release their extension to the marketplace. So that was a super fun trip there. And then after we released our extension, I started meeting with designers and seeing some of the same repeat items that I had noticed when I was a designer. And what that was is designers were going to training and they were using it for renderings, but they had a really hard time making the jump to transition over to the software and actually use it start to finish the same way that they were used to using it for 20 plus years. So that's why I started Convergence Solutions. So that's my company. Convergence Solutions, I do like a whole myriad of things, but really my main goal is to help designers get over that slump and get from training to adopting the program and using the program on a regular basis. And so the thing I found is, it's really simple items that allow designers to get from point A to point B. And so one of my most popular things is title blocks. I mean, title blocks seems like a simple feature, but not having the title blocks in CET when you go from training, designers, I know you guys are all so swamped. And so I help dealers to create those reusable files and items that just help you like get out of the I can just do little renderings and I really want to use the program. So on top of training and other items, I do a little bit of everything. But again, the end goal being, helping designers get to the end goal of adopting the software full time. So I created a class. I started building this class last November called After the Install. And really what it is it's geared towards the furniture designer. And the one that's gone through maybe definitely beginner training, maybe intermediate, maybe advanced, but you've used it for a little while. You're starting to make that jump and you just want to dive into some of those topics that you went through in training a little more and relate them to your everyday life. So these classes are supposed to help you, see how to use it in this application. How do I do a reconfigure? How do I create that special that, I need to create, and how do I apply that to my specifications? So I've actually revised these classes 3 times since November because CET has been releasing new features that my little tips and tricks and workarounds are no longer valid. But I also encourage everyone to email me, and if there's classes that you want to have, I would love to create them for you. I'm working on maybe creating a new one for Ulio and Movie Studio and live design, a little bit of live design, but basically getting you more comfortable with the program. If you go out to the Configura Academy, my classes are under the webinars, and you'll start to see this is after the install. Sign up. They're only an hour long. And so you can sign up for as few or as many as you want. And I'm going to try to get them on a monthly rotation. So, you may only want to know about specials and ancillary and reconfiguration. So you can only sign up for one if you want to. I'd love to see all of you in all of them. That would be great. The more I learn from you, the better I can make these classes as well. So check it out. And this PDF is going to be posted. If it's not already, I think it might all be already. But it shows you a little bit more in depth of what each part covers. And so you can review that and see if it's something that you're interested in. But today I decided I wanted to take out a one little piece or tip from each of the 6 parts. And we're going to talk about, these aren't necessarily like the aha moment parts, but in lieu of time, I wanted to create, just a little taste of each of the sessions and show you what we'll be covering. All right, so enough about me. Let's get into this. Let's get this out of the way. All right. And Rachel's going to watch the chat and Q&A, and I'm going to try to answer your questions as we go along. She's going to interrupt me, and we'll try to get all of your questions answered. Let me
Kaylie, you froze for just a second.
get there, good old CET. Okay, first time moving stuff around. Okay, am I back, Rachel?
You are back.
Yay, I'm back. Okay, cool. So first one I want to talk about, and if you guys follow CET Designer on social media, you'll see that the newest tip they had out there was multiple color layouts. I have been waiting for this for 10 years. I wish this was out so long ago. But this allows you in your layouts. We all like those like architectural looking plans that have like black and white in them, but there's also sometimes some items that we want to call out in bold, like dimensions, or like I have this example set up here where we're going to show like the core drills of my building. So to start doing this, what we want to do is we want to go up to our tools menu on the very top, and we're going to pull up categorization. And if you don't already know, everything in CET Designer has been put on a category or multiple categories, or in AutoCAD speak, that would be layers. And so the first thing we want to do is we want to pull out those items like my dimensions and my floor cores, and we're going to put them on their own category. So you'll see here I have 2 categories I created. I have one that says electrical dimensions and one that's titled floor electrical. To create those custom categories, when you have your category box open, you'll notice this little blue plus sign. So in order to create a new one, you just click that and that'll create your new layer or category. All right, so let's go grab a dimension. Dimensions on their tools tab. And I'm just going to place one, not on the box, above the box. All right, so I've got a dimension here. Like I said, we want to make them red. So I have a couple styles here. I'm going to change my text to dimension red. And I've set up these styles in my style manager. We're going to go over that in a little bit too. But as I change it, you'll see it turns it red there. And one more thing before we move on, I'm going to go to the symbols extension. You can download this from the marketplace. If I'm always about saving time, and there's lots of little things like switches and items like that. In the symbols library, they have a lot of those generic symbols that you'd use on a daily basis. So let's go find, there we go, floor, single receptacle. All right, we're going to put that little puppy right up here next to our dimension. All right, and we can also change the color of those as well. When I hit edit, it's going to bring in the properties box. I'm going to change the color. Let's make it red. There we go. All right, so we've got our red dimension, we've got our little core drill, but as I click on it, you're going to notice, see it's got this little like gray checkbox. This is already on the electrical category. I am going to remove it from that category. So I'm going to uncheck the box. And then I'm also going to click on my dimension, and you see now that's on the CET Designer under installation, dimensioning. We're going to take it off of there. Okay, and now we're going to put it, and this is just like going to save you time down the line. You don't necessarily have to do this. I just use it as an efficiency tool. So I know when I'm creating my install drawings, I can easily just turn on the electrical dimension. So I'm going to click it on there. And then I'm going to click on my electrical box and floor electrical. Okay, so we've got those items on those categories. From here, I could copy my dimensions so they retain all that properties, or I could copy my symbols. You could do this now, or you can, if you've forgotten to do this, you can select multiple dimensions in your drawing and then do the same thing that I did there. Okay, so now we've got them on the right categories. Let's go into our paper space.
You do have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, have you or anyone else had the issue when copying a dimension or anything that it is set to one of the created categories, it changes to or adds other categories when it's pasted?
I haven't seen that per se, like firsthand, but anything's possible. You know, I would copy a few of them, check them out, make sure that they're working properly. And if they are, then I would say it's probably safe um, to continue moving on. But yeah, bug, make sure you report that bug. All right. So I just grabbed a 2D view clip of my space here. And in the new view clip filters, we have this black and white filter. And I'm just going to apply that. Hello. Come on. You know you want to. It's going to think about life for a second here. Oh, there it goes. Let's try one more time. Okay. So we're going to click it on to our view clip. Ooh, it's really thinking. I don't want to get it angry. Anybody knows? You don't. Oh, there it goes. All right, so it's applied. The next thing I want to do, there's two ways of doing this. You could click on the filter that you've applied, or up in the properties box, you can use the drop-down box, the first one. And I'm just going to click black and white, and that's going to get me to the properties of the black and white filter. So how many times can I say filter? I think should we play a drinking game? All right, so click on the word filter, drink. All right, we're going to bring it up. And this is where we're going to control the colors that we see. So because I want it to be super easy and friendly, I have my electrical dimensions category here. And we're going to say ignore that black and white on there. Same with the floor electrical. Click that on. And as you can see, like in my drawing, those items are starting to come into color. So you can use this for text or hatchings. I mean, I've had designers ask me this question for years, and I did have Kate Sword had a lovely workaround, but it's like 30 steps and it's very complicated. So I'm so happy to see this feature now. All right, let's go on to the next topic. Any questions there, Rachel?
It does not look like we have additional.
Cool. All right, so let's talk about the next one, is replace graphics. All right, so I'm not sure if any of you are aware, and let's see, people think when you use edit graphics and you blow up, like kind of explode symbols, that you can't apply them to PGC. So I've got some Fika panels here, and this can be done with any PGC symbol you have. The problem that you get around specials that interact with PGC is they then don't follow the rules of PGC. Because, you know, I had, at Starbucks, I had like a corner connector that was special. And so I couldn't get it to follow the rules that panel connections if I exploded that and used edit graphics. So I'm going to show you a cool trick here. We've got this little door. I actually just went out to the SketchUp warehouse and grabbed this door. You could create a SketchUp drawing, or you could do an edit graphics of a symbol in CET and make your own door, or whatever you need at the time. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this door and I'm going to put it right into my panel run, which I'm looking at. I was fixing this drawing. Let's see if I can. I was kind of, there we go. Okay, so I want to put this door into this panel here. So I'm going to go to my edit graphics, and you don't need to hit and make editable. You don't need to use anything. You're just going to focus on this one button here that says replace graphics. So we're going to click on that. We're going to come out to our drawing, find our special, click. And this is the important part. Now I'm going to zoom in nice and close, because the next step I'm going to show you, this, you can't really move around once this box comes up. So I'm going to find my item I want to replace, and you'll see it with the blue rectangle there. Click. All right, something has happened. What is happening? I'll show you. All right, this is the dialog box I was talking about. At this point, I'm moving my scroll button, I can't zoom in and out. That's why I zoom in kind of close there. And this is going to allow me to put that big, gigantic SketchUp door in here. I just like to use the scale. So I'm going to scale, scale, scale. Oh, look at that. It fits nice and pretty. You can adjust the X and Y and Z angles. So I could like flip it around. You can turn it sideways. Oh, that looks horrible, right? Okay, so let's go back. Looks good. I'm happy with that. You could probably move the handle to the other side if you needed to. When we're happy and we think it looks good, we're going to say okay. And look at that. That was 2 clicks. 2 clicks, and now we have this special inside of our PGC symbols.
So we have a couple of people asking, what's PGC?
PGC, parametric graphical configuration. There'll be a test later, I promise. No, I'm just kidding. No, it just means smart. It's so these panels, when you build and stretch and grow them, they have rules built into them that know that this is another panel that I should snap to. So, you know, when you have a static symbol like this chair here, it doesn't interact with anything else, so I can make that special all day long. But getting a special or a static item into PGC, this is where the rub is. So this is what I'm going to show you here. But just remember, just because I click on this door, it doesn't have the special information. I need to tell the program that this door is special. So I'm going to right click and I'm going to say query. And each manufacturer is a little bit different. It all has pretty much the same properties and it works mostly the same way. But I guess the most important thing to get across is that this is still thinking that this is a panel. So in your calculation, it's going to say it's a panel. I'm going to click on that panel. I'm going to say make special. And this is where you would put in all of your lovely information. Special door. Maybe we change the description. I'm getting really creative here, guys. Special door. And we're going to have an additional $1,000. Big spanda. All right. So now it's updated that information to my, but it still interacts with my PGC symbols. I had a question I saw in the last session, and it will act like the symbol that it's being replaced with. So this door will act like that panel. So if I move this around and move it anywhere, it's going to pretend like it's just like a panel. So that would go like trim, or if you did an overhead storage unit, it's going to act like an overhead storage unit. So it's going to snap on panels where it's supposed to go. All right, so keep that in mind when you replace that. Okay, I'm going to move on now.
Katie is asking if you can provide an example of where you would use this function.
So in addition to like the door, but if you had like say an overhead unit that had a special door on it, like maybe you had like a wood door on your overhead bin, and you wanted to show that graphically, but it was special, so you can't do that. You can create, like in Edit Graphics, a bin that has a wood door, and then use the replace graphics to replace the one with the metal door. So I hope that makes sense. Is that a good example? All right. So the next thing I want to talk about is title blocks. Like I told you, that is one of the most popular items that Convergent Solutions gets requests for. It's because when you go from training into trying to use CET Designer, you guys are so busy. I know all of you are swamped, and I appreciate that you're even taking the time to be here today, but I know that you guys don't have time to create those title blocks. So I wanted to walk through some sort of best practices about creating title blocks. And good old Michael Beal, if anybody follows Michael Beal on social media, he posted a lovely tip the other day for you can now drag a CAD drawing into your paper space. So if you have CAD title blocks, you could bring those in here. So thanks, Michael. Now I have to, get a new form of income here, but I do appreciate, I'm actually going to be practicing a lot with that so I can so I can get on top of how to do that correctly. I have a title block here. I did make some little changes in our last meeting, but a couple things I want to point out when you're creating your title blocks are when you create them and you think that it looks nice and you're ready to have your designers use them. I like to do a Control A. It selects everything in there, and I'm just going to lock it. Because I am like a bull in a china shop, and I always like scoot things around and actually bump and move text boxes. So if you lock it all down, it's not going anywhere. That doesn't mean you can't edit things. Everything is still completely editable. Just I can click on the text and edit that. So you can just click around. Come on. Hey, oh, that's a label. That's why it's only short text. So you can edit that to be whatever you want. And if you want to, let's see, I don't like that line being that blue color, so I can just unlock by Shift L, and I can change it back to black. So we're just going to click black, and there we go. So, and then when I'm done making those changes, again, make sure you lock it up. I do encourage designers, when you're creating title blocks, don't just use the default text. It's going to save you a lot of time and headache and effort down the line. If you create a style for the text that you're doing, you'll notice if I click on any of this text, it says convergent. I've created a paper view text, and I'm going to show you guys where to get this. If you go onto your tools, under the tools component tab, there's a styles section, and if you click on your style editor, you'll see all of your styles. I created a paper view text. There it goes, convergent paper view. And I just want to point out, if your company goes through a rebranding, or maybe they've changed from Arial to something different, you don't need to edit every single title block. You can just quickly come in here if you've made a style, and I'm going to pick this really goofy one. I'm kind of a style hoarder. I have lots of fonts. Let's see. I had a cowboy one. Oh wait, city blueprint. Oh, colored crayons. What's that like? Oh yeah, there we go. Okay, so I could just quickly save the style. I'm going to hit save, and let's see my David Copperfield magic. Let's see if it applied it. Ooh. Okay, it's thinking, oh yeah, look, everything's all colored crayons. All right, so if you don't like that change, it's as easy as going back in here. Let's go change it back to Arial. And let's hit save. Oh, look at that, back to normal. Cool. All right, so again, create a text style that you can use. I encourage data fields to be used wherever possible. What I mean by that is down in the bottom of my drawing here, I've got the file location. This is a data field. In your component tab over here on the left, we have our text fields and our data fields. The data fields are actually going to bring in information as it relates to your drawing. So if I double click on that one there, it's going to bring it up here, and that one I have selected as the file name and path, but I could change this to, say, the username, and the username will be reflected to whoever the CET user is. So up on the top right hand corner, you'll notice it says Kaylie Tucker there, it'll say it there. So again, let's see, file, I want the whole path, date and path, there it is, file name and path. So you can change those here. Print date, this is again just a label, so it was just a little quick text there. But you could also use the data fields for, say, like who this was drawn by. Sally Sales here. This is another data field, but I didn't have like a sales data field that I could pull from. So you could be anything like order type. It doesn't have to match what you want it to be. It's just an easy way for you to, let's see, let's do like John Sales, right? John Sales. I like Sally Sales better, but there we go. Maybe John took over the project. So it's going to update there. The nice thing about data fields is if I have multiple pages within my drawing, this is going to update on every page. Where you don't want to use data fields are something like the page title or the project title here, because you're going to have maybe a panel plan, an electrical plan, and you don't want all your papers to say the same thing. So that's where you would use like a project title, just a regular text field here. Another thing to point out, let's see, so a customer name, this is a draw data field again. This ties into your project information, and someone reminded me to say in the last one, project info is another extension you can download from the marketplace. You don't have to have it, but if you do, it brings up this nice little, I'm sure like half the people don't even know when I say Rolodex, like you can save your customer information in sort of a Rolodex format. So you can save this information and call it, I have Acme Company here. Um, and so as you do like lots of projects with the same customer, you can just open their information and all their title blocks will be automatically populated, which is kind of nice. So any other questions? How are we doing, Rachel? Questions?
We're good. No questions right now.
Man, you guys are good. Either you know all this already and you're like, Kaylie, stop wasting our time. Or I'm explaining it pretty well. So I hope it's the latter there. Okay, so I'm going to bring up my alternatives again. Next thing I want to talk about is blocks. Blocks can be a complicated sort of theory. I have what I call like the ABCs of blocks. And so the first thing, before you even make a single block in your drawing, you want to analyze your blocks. Then we build them, and I'll talk about cloning. Because we get obviously a lot more deeper in my webinar onto these topics. We're going to talk about analyze first here. Analyze, what I mean by that is that I want you to think about the end game of, I have this station here. My project's going to be maybe like, let's just say 100 stations. How can I best make my life easier on the back end by making my install drawings easier to create and, applying schemes and what have you. You have to start like thinking about all these things before you make your blocks. So for an example, like, we plan most of us designers will plan in the normal view mode. So at the bottom of our screen, we use that normal tab. But if you click on, say, like the part tagging or like view all, this is what more of your install drawing typicals are going to look like. And you might think, oh, there's all those tags and they're not in the right place and they're not, oh man. Now, if you had blocked this 2-pack here, or typical, then you would just need to go into one of them and say we could just, go in and move an item and it would update on all of them. So those are kind of the things you want to think about. Really nice thing I noticed about, I would say like a year ago, I don't know why I never even thought of this, but is blocks within a block. So now we're getting into like the matrix and we're getting very deep down the rabbit hole. But what I mean by that is like we have a chair. I have a project matrix chair here. And this project matrix chair, my customer is being kind of wishy-washy on chairs, and I have a feeling they're going to change it. But I recommend this with all project matrix symbols that you think might change or update. I'm going to just make a block of this first. So let's say I'm going to say create a block. And when I do that, I like, it's got the part number there. I'm going to change it a little more simpler format there. I'm just going to say chair. That's also something to keep in mind when you are creating your blocks. Try to, again, think of the end game and think of, okay, how am I going to like know what this is referencing to? So is it a 2-pack, a 4-pack? Is it a column station or, typical A or B? So be mindful of what you name your stations so that you can go back and edit them accordingly. So I've got that as a block. Nice thing is now I'm going to copy that block over here. Okay. And now I'm going to make a state. Let's go back to normal. It's a little bit cleaner. I'm going to make a block of the entire typical here. So select the whole item, create block, and now we're just going to call this 2-pack. All right. So what I say, customer came back. They said, I don't like that chair. Let's change it out. So, all right, cool. Here, let's do a little more reality, right? So now I have spent all this time. Kaylie has like 100 stations in here, and I'm like, oh, I do not want to go back and change a single one of those chairs. Typicals haven't changed, but the chair has. So I'm going to go in here. I'm going to double click. I could go into my project matrix right now, and I could put the new chair there. For this example, I'm just going to change the tag. So I'm like deep in the rabbit hole. I double clicked, and then I double clicked on that block, and I'm going to double click on my chair, and I'm going to say chair 2, apply. All right, cool. Chair 2. All right, so let's back up again. Let's go to the 2-pack. Oh, looks like that's awesome. And let's go back to my drawing. Now, let's do another little example here. I'm going to copy this block. Actually, I'm going to clone it. Okay, so we're going to say clone block. All right, and now I'm going to double click on it. Oh, before I do that, sorry. I'm going to show the block dialog there. Okay, so I just cloned that station. It's a copy. You could copy the block too. That works as well. But in that 2-pack clone, I'm going to call this single, I guess. Single station. Maybe there's a column in the way. All right,
Kaylie,
so
can you explain when you would use clone over copy?
I don't know. I think they're kind of the same. For me, I mean, I guess clone, in the tree of blocks, a clone is under sort of its parent, but a copy would be separate. I don't know. I copy. Cloning is available, but I kind of think same. Okay, so we've got this single station, right? there we go, single station. And I'm gonna, like I said, now we're gonna make it a single station, right? So I'm gonna double click. Let's kick out some items and do what we say here. Okay, so now use your imagination. We have hundreds of stations in our drawing, and we have some single, some double, what have you. With the block in block scenario, I can only have to change one. So let's double click again. Let's do that. Double. And we're going to say 3. Apply. All right, let's go back to our drawing. Dun, dun, dun. Okay. All of our typicals have remained the same, but that special item, which was a block within a block, has changed in all of them. So I didn't need to go edit that chair in the 2-pack and the 4-pack and the 6-pack. I could just change it in one, and it'll update in all. So that's my little tip on blocks there. As a bonus tip, I'm going to show you guys, if any one of you are not aware of the component block. The component block is, we're going to go back to that pop quiz, PGC symbol, which is a panel. It has all these rules. And so when I say it has rules, it knows if I put a work surface up next to it, it's going to have a cantilever. And if I put this overhead unit here, it's going to connect to the panel. If I take these components away from the panel, so if I move it over here, now that cantilever is gone. And ultimately, in our lives, we have multiple types of, we have 2-packs, like I said, 4-packs, 6-packs, goofy manager stations, stuff like that. When I'm drawing, I want to use what's called a component block to make my life a little bit easier. So I'm going to select everything here. I'm going to right click. I'm going to say create component block. All right, cool. I can, you might want to, retitle it. Let's see, 2-pack. Great. There we go. Close. Now, when I click on this station, watch this magic. I'm going to say copy. Oh, all the panels disappeared. It gives me this little yellow panel here. That's just a starting point. But if you look at the drawing, it's got the cantilevers still in place, and it's retaining all those connection rules that it needs in order for me to copy it into more panels. So now I'm just going to hover it over my, let's see, got to find the right panel. Yeah, that one. There we go. That's the magic spot. Okay, click, place, Everything is beautiful. We've got our connections still in place, and I didn't have to redraw that left hand, right hand, up, down, left, right. It's all still in one place. So cool. Yay, thumbs up. I can see you all high-fiving me. Thanks for the high fives. All right. Okay. How we doing, Rachel? We got anything?
There is a question. Do you provide product-specific CET training, like for Steelcase or Herman Miller or Hayworth? Because each of those extensions have their differences. We did
Absolutely.
also have a question about where to find information on your webinars in general. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, let me talk about those couple things and then we'll dive into the next topic. Yes, I do some product specific training. Give me a shout out, give me an email. I will bring back up my email. All right, so ktucker@convergentsolutions.com. Email me and let me know. I do have lots of manufacturers that I have access to. I do provide, I would have to get Herman Miller's permission. I have in the past, and I offer a Herman Miller specific class. I also love just working one-on-one with dealers, and I can set up, monthly webinars with your dealer, and we can really look at the product specifically that you're using, because yes, I know all of our products are a little bit different. Again, to find my webinars, they're on the Configura Academy, and if you just go to the Academy, under the CET Designer category, there are webinars, and I'm going to try to do this on a monthly basis, but again, and I'm going to try to keep them to Tuesdays and Thursdays. I try to make it so I'm on the West Coast, but I know we have a lot of we have everybody in between, so I tried to make it a friendly time there, and so we have part one, part two. I'm going to try to offer all of them in a month. So you can sign up for as little or as many as you want. And again, email me if you have a topic that you think I should cover, or, within certain topics. I love hearing from all of you and where your pain points are. So let's go back. Let's go to, all right. Now that we were all living the lovely COVID lifestyle here, I know you guys are doing, and just because I've heard, you guys are swamped with reconfigures. And the way I used to do reconfigures, I use CAP. I would sift all the information into CAP and do a compare. And next thing you know, I had like 15 different worksheets, and I was, it was very complicated. I had to sift through all of them to find out what new product I was ordering. I have got in my drawing here, I created an alternative. I had my as-built drawing. So this is, we're trying to keep it simple today, so we can see what we're reconfiguring. But I've got my as-built. I copied that alternative, and I titled it proposed. And in my proposed, I went through, I removed all the shelving, and then I used this chair that, in my little made up scenario, is my inventory. So I had a closet in, my customer's office that they had 12 of these chairs squirreled away. Okay, so I've got my as-built, I got my proposed, I'm ready to go. On the marketplace, you can download the reconfiguration tool. It's pretty simple. There's not a lot going on over here. We got one little button. So we're just going to click on the reconfiguration tool, and it's going to open up. You're going to see this lovely little flow chart. We've got some terms we might understand a little bit there. We've got our existing, also known as built. If you don't like the term existing, rename it. So I'm just going to as built. All right. If I don't like that color, I can change that color as well. Maybe I want it pink. Right. Did it? I didn't say okay. Ooh. Sorry, it's on my other screen there. Oh, come on, stinker. It's not that important to change the color, but there we go. Okay, as built, we've got our proposed. So this is our reconfigure, right? So these are called depots. My bad joke of the day is I could rename this. We can say home. Now we have a Home Depot. Hilarious. Okay. So with this flowchart, you can flowchart this out as much as you want. So I've got, let's just say, another existing, that is my inventory closet, right? So I'm going to put existing 2 over here because I'm using the furniture that's on my floor as well as my little closet. I'm going to use an arrow. Let's connect, and we want it to go into the compare. So you could build this on forever and ever, and we could just build out, if you have multiple floors and you want product from one floor to move to the next floor, you could do that. I mean, the possibilities are sort of endless at this point. And in lieu of time, I have another one I already saved. Same information, I just did a couple changes. So I'm not going to save this one. You can, once you're done, you can save this. It's a CMRCF file. So it's my reconfig file. I'm going to open that up here. It's going to think about life. Give it a moment. There we go. All right, so as you can see, I changed some colors. I, retitled some categories there. So the nice thing about this one, I'm going to show you, we're going to hit this compare button. And just like magic, we have all of our CAP compare sheets built for us, right? Even some extra bonus ones that you don't usually get with a CAP built out here in a nice little chart for us. So the reason I did this ahead of time for this meeting is there's some things I changed with each. If I click on a depot, you're going to see it's going to give me my list of materials there. And I actually clicked on my little folder setting and I went to my column. So I only want to see the description and the quantity. So I just made those 2 available. I just noticed I kind of forgot to, I skipped a big step. And that would be, how do we put the information we need into our compare in here? Double click on a depot. Double click. And it's going to bring up the open box. Now you can bring in a CIF file. So let's just say you just have a bill of materials, but you don't have a drawing associated with an inventory or a drawing. You could bring in that CIF file and add it to your reconfigure. So that's kind of awesome. I'm going to click on that exercise drawing because that's where my proposed lived. My inventory was just a CIF file. So that's kind of cool. I didn't have, a drawing of that closet in their space. Okay, so it's going to bring up where are you selecting it from. I chose the exercise drawing and I want my proposed alternative. I could even choose an article view.
You're paused for just a second. I think you should be back here.
That I created my calculation from that alternative. So now, here, today, testing.
You're here.
Oh, good. Okay. So yeah, when CET and Zoom like think together, it's not really pretty. So basically, one of the point I want to get across is that I'm going to I want to print this out eventually. So what you want to do is, as I click on each of these, you want to make what you see down here as little as possible. So I chose the description here, but you could put just the part number. The reason being, when you go up to print reports, so I can click on print reports, and if you want to print out that compare that was created, there's a reconfig section on your print reports, right? I gave Rachel a bad time and Configura a bad time about, I don't print the chart. I think there's a little bit of work to be done program-wise on that. It did print it out, but the text was not very pretty. So I like to take a screenshot of that even if I want to include this flowchart to like my installer or salesperson. But I just picked the article views under reconfig. And so once I picked that, I kind of cleaned up some of these checkboxes up here, but I can pick all of those depots that I have in my reconfigure. I can print them all out. I printed one out for you. Here, this is like my cooking show. So I just happened to pull this out of the oven right now. So here's my little reconfigure. You'll see I have it's titled whatever I titled my depot as built. Compare, look at that. it's got it all in one neat little place. I can see new to order, zeros down the line. I'm using 12 of that chair or part number. Reuse, I'm reusing all these items. Look at that. Love it. So this is all of them in one place.
We have a question from Amy. For a compare,
Yeah.
if you only have a proposed drawing and 2 inventories that are cap specs, would you still place them in the as-built depot?
Can you? You could test it out. I don't know if you can add multiple to a depot. You can't add multiple. So you could say SIF or as-built 1 and as-built 2, just like I've done here, and just pull in one SIF file in one, and it has to be a SIF file. You can't bring in a CAP file, so you'd have to SIF it from CAP. But once you do that, then you can bring it in via this method here. Does that make sense? Hopefully I answered that question there. Okay. How we doing on time there, Rachel?
We're at our 10-minute mark.
Woohoo! Okay. Well, then let me I'm a little faster on this one. We ran a little bit out of time on that last one, so I'm not gonna save.
And Amy is asking, do you have to have an as-built?
Not necessarily. The reconfiguration tool is just to help you compare one thing to another and see what the differences are. So, it's all about terminology. So, if I just want to see like one project, maybe, there's some different finishes and colors, and I want to compare it to another project and see where things are different, you could use it in that method. And it's just terminology. So, the most common is as built or proposed. All right, so let me do. Yeah, where'd my alternatives? I lost my box. There it is. Ah, sneaky. All right. So my last little tip here, this is not by any means advanced rendering. This is sort of a quick, for those who are just using it for renders and just want to down and dirty. I got my salesperson breathing down my neck. I just need to create a showroom rendering. I've got my 3-click process for creating a showroom rendering. So I downloaded this typical and placed it in my drawing. I'm going to go to my Material Explorer. So here's my Material Explorer. There's a plastic category in Material Explorer, and I'm going to scroll down to the very bottom, and Configura has created, it's going to think about it. It's got to load. There we go. Come on. I know you want to. Refresh. At the bottom of the plastic category, there is one called white plastic. Oh no. Okay. This might take a second. I have a lot of materials, so it's going pretty fast. Anyway, plastic, I know our floor isn't plastic, but to get that showroom look, the plastic has a really nice reflection that's soft, and it looks like it's out in a showroom. I haven't built any walls in my space. I'm just really highlighting the product, and I'm giving it that nice little showroom reflection on the floor. So a lot of people will actually use this plastic as their default material. So if you really hate that like gray carpet, if you double click on your floor, it'll bring up a dialog, and you can apply the plastic and just make that your default. So every time you open up CET Designer, it'll have that material. So I'll save you a step. It'll be 2 steps for this showroom rendering if you make that your default. Okay. Yeah, it's thinking it thought about it, but I don't know if it's gonna populate it for me. Oh, come on. Okay, I don't want to make the CET Dragon angry, so I'm going to let it think for a second. It always does this to me. Rachel, does it always kill you in like the big punchline at the end, and like the next thing you know, it's like Photo Lab decides to be cranky? You're like,
There
what?
have been some discrepancies with CET and Zoom,
Yeah.
so we are aware of that
All right.
and trying to find solutions, but
Okay,
haven't quite come to the best solution yet.
that's all right. So
And Heather has a question. Is there a
yeah.
way to make the default floor apply inside a block?
Mm. That's a great question. I don't know. I mean, I would go if you want the default floor in your block and it's not, you can double click on that block and then use the Material Explorer to paint that into your floor on the block. This is the dialog box I was talking about. If I double click on my floor, you can say save material as default. And so now I can save that white plastic, and every time I open my drawing, it'll be white plastic. So that's pretty cool. If you have to reinstall CET, or if there's a big update, I think it'll go back to that gray, but then you just apply that again. So I'm going to go into my photo lab. Like I said, three clicks, right? So we painted the plastic. Now I'm going to select product lighting, and I'm going to hit render. That's it. 1, 2, 3. And we'll let this render here for a second. It goes fairly quickly. But you know, if you just need to get this out the door, like, there you go. We've got our nice little showroom. Typical. All right, let's see. There it is. Okay. If you want to do some things to it, like if you don't like the floor and that like line, I like to make it brighter. If you make it brighter, it kind of fades out the floor a little bit. You could also, let me go into post-process and let's clean this up just a teeny bit more. Maybe we could turn on crop. And we're going to turn on edit. I'm just going to close in the borders a little bit. There you go. I mean, now that's a few more clicks. So you lied, Kaylie. More clicks. Apply. There you go. All right. What do you guys think? Cool. I see all of your thumbs up. Good job. All right. So we have any more questions about how are we doing on time? I got 4 minutes, right?
We have 4 minutes. I don't see questions at the moment.
All right. Hi, Karen. I'm looking at my list of people. Karen was part of my beta group. Miss you, Karen.
We do have a couple, or one more question. When would you use blocks versus alternatives?
So yeah, that's a great question. And let's see if I'm like 2 minutes, I can like explain. So alternatives I like to use as, let's say take the word alternatives out, and we call it options. You know, we use blocks to kind of just say these things are similar, and I don't want to, if I have to make changes to this, I don't want to have to go back and do all that. But alternatives, like that's, you're saying like, this is my gray palette one, and this is my blue palette, this is my one with seating, this is my one without seating. Blocks are different. Blocks, you want to keep those all the things that are alike in nature together. Hope that's my definition. The other thing I just want to point out too, to keep in mind about blocks, is blocks, and I've made this mistake more than once. If you make an alternative of blocks, so I'm just going to create another one. I have my blocks alternative. And so now this is my copy, and I go in and I am going to edit this block, right? And I say, no, I don't want the chairs. Okay, cool. All right, there's my chairs are gone in all of those 2-pack blocks. But now if I go back to my blocks one, uh-oh, they're gone too. So just remember, be careful when you're creating alternatives with blocks in it, that make sure you explode the block before you edit, making changes, because what's going to happen is it's going to go across all of your alternatives. Same goes for schemes. When you are in your scheme manager, make sure that you keep in mind that if you don't see things applying, it's probably because they're blocked. Make sure you check that box if you want it to apply to your blocks. Or you can use it in the other fashion, is you want to keep all your blocks good, but you want to change everything that's not blocked. Then you would uncheck it.
And
Cool.
one more question up here. How do we make the glass appear more realistic and not gray around the bottom?
Rachel, I'm going to push that one back to you. That is a feature request, I know, because
Yeah, definitely. So there are some things that you can do with materials.
it is
One thing
inherently.
with gray, or I'm sorry, with glass is to choose the to change the Fresnel and the reflection to lower those. Our glass
Mhm.
as a default is very reflective, so that is something that we definitely could see some feature requests for, as Kaylee mentioned.
Yeah, in the Material Explorer, like what you're talking about, right? So let's go pull up a glass, right? I'm just
Yes.
pulling up a random glass. So you would want to change, like if you're, but see, I guess, so the problem too, Rachel, is that I see out in there in the field is even manufacturers' PGC symbol, their glass renders with that frosted, weird, goofy
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
So I would reach out to your manufacturer if you're having that. And as soon as you see it, you'll know exactly what we're talking about if you haven't seen it. When you render with the product lighting, around all the glass, you get kind of a weird frosted fade or whatever. I don't know what you call it. It's like a ghosting.
All
Uh,
right, so that is what we have for this session. Remember to fill out your CEUs if you are collecting those. My name is Rachel Gill. I am the room buddy. There is some content on the live stream, and the next session will start at 3:50. So thank you for joining us.
Thanks, everybody. Enjoy the rest of the day.